This is a Touchstone Publishers presentation, your trusted source of leadership knowledge.
Cynthia James is a transformation amid emotions integration coach, best-selling author, international speaker. She is also an international coach and TEDx speaker who invites women to reveal their authentic voice. She is a champion for change and awakes others to express their full potential. Cynthia supports female entrepreneurs to move to the next level. She also is training coaches for emotional integration. Please welcome Cynthia James, a person that is making a difference on a worldwide basis.
Well, good morning, everybody. Those who know me know that's my tradition. I don't care what time of day it is, it's always good morning. But we'll make it straight. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome. And I want to welcome a very special guest today that I don't know how we're doing it, but we're getting some great thought leaders together. Miss Cynthia James, welcome and thank you very much for taking the time.
Oh, Glenn, I'm so happy to be with you. Thanks so much for the invitation.
Well, thank you. Now, I have tons of questions, so I still kind of cheating just a little bit. So I make sure I respect everybody's time here and not go forever, but I got to go with that very first question. What's unique, powerful, kind of a need to know about either you, your TEDx, or your company?
Oh my gosh, I could talk for an hour. Okay, so
Great.
What's unique? I'll just start with the title of my TEDx. The past does not define us. And so that is the foundation of my work, that I can, if I can move out of my violent, crazy, abusive childhood and become who I have come today, it is possible for anyone, that there's always a light at the end of the tunnel. And there are skills and there are things you have to do because you have to reprogram your brain and your behaviors. And so that's where the emotional integration was born. That's the work I do in the world, and self-care, really supporting people and understanding that you must learn to love and care for yourself. So for me, I feel like I am a living example, not an exception of possibility.
Okay. Now, you do such a great job in TEDx covering your journey. But I want to narrow you down just a little bit and ask you to talk about the journey you had from the time you conceived, you can do the TEDx, the time you were on the stage. From the time you said, okay, I want to do it, to the time you're on stage, what was that like?
Well, I've been a speaker for many years, but I was really clear that there's a definite technique to being on a TEDx stage. And so I went looking for a TEDx coach. And I found a woman whose name is Stephanie, who was really wonderful. And she really gave me space because I'm a creative and I'm an artist and I'm very comfortable on a stage. She gave me room for that and then helped me focus it so that I could bring the information that could make a difference to people and still be my authentic self.
How difficult was it for you to come down from a normal talk to an 18-minute talk or less?
Not easy. But you know what? What I loved about it was it made me really hone in on what is the message that I want to deliver. And how do I want to deliver it, and how can it have impact on the people that are in that audience?
Wow. I know that was a hard part for a lot of people. So I just kind of like to talk about that to get things started, where people kind of know a little bit about you. One person said that's the best part, is to hear about the person's backstory. But I got to ask you about something that I hear oftentimes. People talking about authentic voice. What is that?
The voice isn't just the sound that you hear. For me, the authentic voice is the energy, the essence that you carry, and that you are able to articulate it and share it with others. And sometimes that's a joyous experience that people love, and sometimes it's an experience that people don't like because you are saying things that resonate with you but don't support their ideology.
Okay. So when you're having people, and I know you usually work with women,
Yes.
just because I think, well, I don't help everyone, but does women have more of a problem with that authentic voice? Is it culturally more difficult for them than you think?
in a way. So I wrote a book called I Choose Me, The Art of Being a Phenomenally Successful Woman at Home and at Work. And when I was doing the research for the book, women were still property into the early 1900s.
Right.
We were told that our job was to have babies, take care of the house, forget your brilliance, forget your wanting to be out in the world. And so when women started to become activists and, for voters' rights and all kinds of different things, it created quite a furor. And so women still are carrying that energetic. Women even who are in the C-suites have to find ways to navigate how they can bring their voice, their ideology, and not be considered, aggressive and over the top, and still get their point across. So I think the feminine is navigating that now, even today.
Well, I've noticed that a lot of women in the C-suite still have to deal with the old boy network.
Yes.
And that seems to shorten their ability to have that authentic voice.
Yes.
Okay. I want to ask you about this topic here, the kitchen table wisdom. When you first said that, it made me kind of sit up and say, wait a minute. Tell us about what kitchen table wisdom is.
So when I was a kid, my grandmother would, everything happened in the kitchen, right? And we would sit at the table and she would give us her wisdom. But her wisdom was based in the trauma, 5 generations of trauma for women in our family, that we were Black in America, that we weren't safe, you had to keep your head down, all that kind of stuff. So that became what we all kind of took in and began to operate from, not understanding that was having deep impact on what we were transmitting into the world and what we were calling into the world. So I made it my business as I was healing to create a different kind of kitchen table wisdom for my children, to talk about possibility, to talk about their brilliance, to talk about that they could create the life that they desired just by bringing their most powerful self, but that the bridge between those two things was a lot of inner work, a lot of therapy, and a lot of bringing in tools to heal myself.
I kind of had a different flow from kitchen table wisdom until I really kind of sat down for me a little bit. It sounded like that your relatives, your ancestors made you stronger because of everything they went through. And if they didn't share that kitchen table wisdom with you, you wouldn't have gotten that.
I think that's true. I think the balance becomes, though, that if you only look at the negative aspects, the women in my family were all strong. But if you only look at the negative aspects, then you begin to integrate that. And then that becomes the way in which you operate. It becomes what you look for. It becomes what you attract. And so for me, it's like I am eternally grateful for the women in my lineage. Amazing. And I'm extraordinarily grateful that I understood that if I only focus on those things, then I create neuropaths that do not support my health and well-being.
You told the story, and I would like to kind of figure out, how did you decide, or how do you think your grandmother found the strength to support you in your journey to say, hey, let's go see this play, let's go do this, let's go do that? What do you think your grandmother, because that was a little bit different than you can't have because you're a woman.
So my grandmother was a risk taker, and she was a possibility thinker, and she saw me. She saw that I was a creative. She saw that I had spark. She saw that I had charisma. She also saw that if we just stayed in the confines of the Black community in Minneapolis, that I wasn't going to reach my full potential. So she took me to see, plays where there were Black actors. She took me to see concerts where there were singers. She took me to places where I saw healers. She really, and she encouraged me to step outside of the comfort zone of my community and explore. And I think it was because for her life and the life of my mother, a lot was about survival. And it was like, what if your life isn't just about survival? What if it's about creativity? And I think that's what she wanted to do. So when I told her I wanted to be an actress, she said, great. When I told her I wanted to be a singer, she said, great. and was my biggest fan when I started achieving those things.
Yeah, because like you said, she enjoyed the risk of stepping out and having her granddaughter step out. I still wonder what do you think her mind went through and say, okay, let's risk this? Because I know generation before me, they still want to protect and say, don't raise your head because you're a person of color. Don't cause any delay because you're a person of color. But your grandmother didn't do that.
Well, it was a both and.
Oh.
On one level, she was saying that, you know, but on the other hand, she was encouraging me. You know, it was really interesting when I was about, I don't know, 8 or 9 years old. She took me to this tea house, and there was this woman who read tea leaves, which I'm like, what is that, right?
What's going on there?
But this woman really was some kind of a seer, because she told me about my creative aspects. She told me that I would be a world traveler. She told me those things. And so I think my grandmother was tapped into the esoteric on some level. And so that's why she could do both and keep your head down, you know, don't make any trouble, but, you know, step out.
Wow. It's good. You also said this, though. Second guessing yourself. How did you get over it? Was it just the idea that once you had some money, you could go to therapy, like you said in your talk, you were able to stop second guessing yourself? Or was there something else that was responsible for that?
Well, first of all, I think a part of it was therapy, and I took an awful lot of spiritual classes and went to an awful lot of workshops, and I heard a lot of speakers that were talking about changing your consciousness. But I also think that I had the ability to understand that whenever there was a win, you know, it was a win.
Yes.
That when you can do that, when you can win, you can get, if the universe is telling you, oh, if you can do it once, you can do it again. And so I think that that combination of understanding that and all of the work I was doing in therapy and workshops and things kind of blended together. I was on an interview the other day, and the woman said, have you always been bold and charismatic? And I'm like, no. That I had to learn it, you know? And it taught me that I, being my bigger than life self, was okay.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. I want to just shift a little bit to kind of what you're doing right now with your TED Talk. Well, you were doing this before your TED Talk, but helping women find their authentic voice, helping them become better coaches and trainers and teachers. And I always wondered, once I heard this from you, you're always at choice. First thing, if you don't mind kind of explaining what you mean, but explain to us how you help understand that and how it helps your career.
So here's the thing, we're making choices in every moment. The point is, are you awake? The point is, are you conscious when you're making the choices? If you're just making choices out of rote or behavior or familial patterns, then you will recreate the same thing. So when I work with my clients or the women in my programs, I invite them to really becoming conscious about what they're thinking, how they're speaking, how they're caring for themselves, and what are they choosing, who are they inviting in to their lives? You know, what are they saying yes to when everything in them is a no? To really begin to listen to their inner knowing, and to really, I do emotional integration work, which means really getting clear about old patterns that are running that no longer serve you, old wounds that are holding you hostage.
That is a challenge. I noticed during your TED Talk, and again, I'll put that up there so everybody can see it and they can go to it. But you talked about 3 steps that you got when you were in therapy and building everything that you bring now to the table. So I want to walk through each one of those 3 steps real quick with you.
Great.
And just discuss them real quick so you can figure out that to create a healthy neural pathways. How does that help you in your creating choices?
So here's the thing. What you are experiencing or feeling drops chemicals in your body. If they are negative feelings and thoughts, you know, it creates cortisol or or adrenaline and those things that can pull your energy down. And when your energy is pulled down, it's hard for you to make a conscious choice. It's hard for you to be awake. You know, what you want to do is create a different pathway that's where the bliss hormones are dropping, and you are oxytocin, where you are feeling alive and awake. Because when you're there, you're thinking more clearly and you're making stronger decisions.
Okay. So what would I do? So I'm asking you to coach me for a second.
Okay.
There's certain things I know that trip me off, that take me down the wrong path. And I don't really discover that till afterwards. How would you coach me to take them in front of a room of people and when you start going down the wrong path? How do you catch yourself? How do you create new neurons to make that happen?
Well, the first thing I would tell them is become connected to your body. Your body is got out of language, and it's kind of an extraordinary computer. So when you are triggered, when you are upset, there is a part of your body somewhere that's constricted. When you begin to understand what those constrictions are, then you can begin to have a connection and find out what is it they're communicating, because the constriction is really a communication. You know, so I tell all of my clients, let's learn what's going on in the body and learn that language so you can make different choices.
That's powerful. I always like to try to create writable moments, and that was not there. Connect with your body, because your body's going to tell you what's going on.
Yes.
As soon as you said that, I thought the last time, I would have connected right here with my solar plexus, I would have known I was going to go there. Because I felt it up in my shoulders. So I could have connected right there. Here's something that's hard to do, though, that you talked about that needs to be taken care of. To examine and revise negative self-talk.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Many of us would never talk to other people the way we talk to ourselves.
The way we talk to our computers. Okay.
You know, we would never talk about that we would tell on people that they're unworthy, that they're worthless, that we wouldn't be doing that. But you have to become aware enough to go, if my body is constricted, if I'm feeling triggered, there is some kind of conversation going on in the background that is connected to negative self-talk. You know, you're not worthy of this. Why should you write a book? You know, what makes you think you can do that? You know, who do you think you are? Those kinds of things, they just constrict the body more, because really the essence of who we are is powerful, dynamic, expressive, expansive. You know, so you really have to start listening to what you're saying to yourself and wake up enough to go, oh no, and create an antidote.
As you're listening to yourself, how often does that go too far? And in your coaching experience, how often does that go too far where you don't really listen to yourself till it's too late?
Well, you know what? Here's the thing. We all have missteps. We all create messy lives sometimes, and we're all challenged because of this negative self-talk. But the moment you become aware that you've made a choice that doesn't support you, then you stop and you just start to backtrack. What started that? What was I saying to myself? What was I thinking? What was the behavior that came in? Because then you can choose differently the next time.
So it's really just backtracking. I think that's a pretty powerful technique, right? Backtrack and discover, how did that start? Well, why did I feel that way? How did it start? Just walk all the way back to the word.
Yes.
So just that knowledge, that conscious knowledge of it helps you next time.
Yes, and then the more that you do that, the quicker you catch the negative self-talk before it creates some kind of chaos.
Love that. So when you're working with your group, and I assume most people you work with, they go out and they work with their coaching, with their clients, you know, they're building their business because you help them get there. I want you to just tell us, how do you apply this? Well, better yet, let's scratch that question. How did you apply this to your book? You have 4 books now? How did you apply all this to yourself, number one, to beat this idea of, I can't write books, I shouldn't write books, no one wants to read them, to say, hey, I'm not sure.
Well, right. The first thought was like, well, what am I going to say that's different than anybody else? You know, who's going to want to hear my words, blah, 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 blah. But here's the thing. I feel if if you're doing a book or a talk or whatever, somebody needs it. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a calling in you. Somebody needs to hear those words. Somebody needs to connect with that energy. And so that's what I said. I said, if I only touch one person, then I have fulfilled myself. And so my job is to just be as authentic, as connected, as in excellence as I possibly can, and then leave the rest up to the universe of whose hands it needs to get into. The first book I wrote, What Will Set You Free, I was all excited. I thought I was going to be touching millions of people, and 6 people came to the workshop. but today I'm still selling, and I'm using that book to train my coaches. So you never know the journey and the trajectory of what you are creating. Your job is to just say yes.
Okay. That's another right down moment. Your job is just to say yes. That's all you have to do, just say yes.
That's right.
So if we take that from coaching to leadership, your job is to say yes to make your team find things faster, easier, and be more productive.
Yes.
And to show your...
Okay, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say the women that are in our AWE program, the Academy of Women Entrepreneurs, they're all entrepreneurs. And so we have a lot of different areas, but one of the areas is leadership. And it's like, how do you become a conscious leader? First of all, you have to be conscious within yourself. And then you have to model for your team what you want. You can't just go in there and be the boss. You have to be the thing you want from your team. So we really work a lot with them on really bringing consciousness, vulnerability, clarity, and having really powerful conversations and managing conflict in a way where people feel heard and understand the expectations.
And this is all inside of your coaching program.
Yes.
So you've created it for entrepreneurs, but it sounds to me that you're a perfect fit for our audience. For that level, the C-suite woman.
Yeah.
Because that's our audience, and that would be a good fit for them. Have you ever thought about constructing something like that for that level?
Well, it's really interesting. I do work with leaders in organizations. And lately what's been happening is I work with the leaders, and then they have brought me in to work with the teams after the leader gets anchored in who they are and how they want to operate. And then we bring the team in so that everybody's in synergy.
Because that goes to that idea of be who you want to be and be that way for your team. So therefore, if I did now want to be that way, I want my team to be that way too. They get to see it. It's a brilliant stroke right there. I gotta give you credit. I want to also talk about this one. Okay, so for me, this is a bit of a personal challenge, or has been. I think I fixed it 6 weeks ago. But make radical self-care a priority.
Yeah.
How does that work?
So, it was a journey for me because I come from 5 generations of women who were abused and traumatized, overweight, left the planet ill, depressed. And at one point, what I did was I identified myself with what I achieved. So I would work more, work harder, push. And my adrenals went kind of crazy. And I had to take a sabbatical. And in that sabbatical, what I discovered was, first of all, that my identity was connected to what I did, not who I was. And then the next part was I wasn't taking care of myself. I wasn't eating the way I knew I needed to eat. I wasn't exercising the way I knew I needed to exercise. I mean, I've been meditating for many, many years, but spiritual practice hadn't become the priority. And what I said was, if I don't do for myself what I am teaching others, then the body temple is telling me it will sit me down. And so radical self-care became the priority. And I think it's the priority for everyone because you only have this body. So the clearer you are mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, depends on how you care for yourself. And sometimes that means learning to say no. Sometimes that means that you're not the caregiver or the rescuer of everybody else. Sometimes that means, that you will do what is necessary for your health and well-being. My father was an alcoholic, and I noticed in my 20s that I was starting to go down that slippery slope. I don't drink today because I know that is not healthy for me. And so whatever you begin to understand isn't healthy for you, it's okay to say no to it.
That though leans on the area of being selfish. If you're going to make your own radical, how do you get past that?
Well, I don't, why is selfish a bad thing? I mean, I feel like if you are caring for yourself, that is not selfish. One of the things I put in the I Choose Me book was that women are enculturated that they must take care of everybody else before they take care of themselves, and that then the frequency and everything's okay, and it's backwards. The clearer you are, the healthier you are, the more expansive and more powerful you are, then the more you raise the frequency in your personal life and your professional life. So I don't think that that's selfish. I think that that's really honoring self.
Because in a way, you're saying if you're taking care of yourself, you're healthy, you have the energy to help others more.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Let me ask you about your how this it's kind of a new TED Talk. It's not like old like mine, but how has it changed your life or your business?
Well, I don't know that it's changed it, but what it has done is it's put me in contact with people like you. People have found me on YouTube that didn't know I existed, and people have reached out to me to say, thank you so much. I needed to hear this.
Yes. Well, I will say people did need to hear it. Let me ask you though, I know what I took from it. What would you like other people to take from it?
That they're here for a purpose. That they're here and their original imprints, and that nothing, no matter what's happened anywhere, anytime, can stop them from the fulfillment of their purpose because it lives within them.
That is a radical moment, but it's kind of a hard pill to swallow sometimes, isn't it? Nothing can stop you.
Right. Well, yeah, because the appearance is that that's not true. The appearance is that somebody can shut a door, or somebody can mistreat you, or, we're watching it all over the world. But you also know that the people that you have admired, the people that you call change makers, move through obstacles with determination and commitment and power within themselves.
So you have some good examples to look at. And surround yourself with them. Yes, that's good. I want to ask you, because I'm going to come back to your 4 books, but before I come back, those 4 books that you've written, what would you recommend?
Well, first of all, I Choose Me for Women. I think it's a really powerful book. And what will set you free is it's 7 steps to move from pain to passion. Those 2 books, I think, really can support people in their own healing journey.
Okay. Those books, your books, they're all on Amazon, right?
Yes, they are. Okay. And on my website, cynthiajames.net.
So now I'm going to ask you to give me just a blatant commercial. I want to know about those 4 books.
So what will set you free is moving from pain to passion in 7 steps, and it really takes you from your story that's defined you to learning to reclaim yourself and radical self-care. It's like with forgiveness and letting go of secrets and standing in your power. Revealing your extraordinary essence it's like every single person has within them encoded an extraordinary original imprint. So there's a lot of steps and a lot of tools in there and a lot of affirmations to support that. My 3rd book is a children's book. It's called You Are Loved. And it's really the story of a little girl who actually love brought her to the planet, and no matter what she went through, that the universe continued to tell her that she was loved. And then the last one is I Choose Me, the art of being a phenomenally successful woman at home and at work. And this is that you don't have to be different in your work environment than you are at home. You can bring your most authentic, powerful self to every arena by understanding who you are, finding your voice, and standing in your power.
So you have 4 books that answers a lot of challenges there. You see they're on Amazon and on your website as well.
Mhm.
One more commercial for you. I want to know how do people get a hold of you to sign up for coaching? I mean, just sit down and talk with you to say, hey, am I a good candidate for your coaching?
Yeah, so cynthiajames.net is my website. You can actually sign up for a 15-minute complimentary discovery call. We'll talk about what's going on with you, what I do, and see if it's a fit for you. And and I also, I'm on all the platforms, and you can see a lot of different things. But that's the easiest way to get to me quickly, and on my website to see what I do.
Okay. Perfect. So I'm going to start wrapping up here with one of my favorite questions. What questions should I have asked you that I didn't ask you?
What's the one thing I want people to know that could catapult them into freedom?
So what is the one thing? So if you could narrow it down to one thing, what's the one thing that people need to know that will expand, catapult them into a great place?
You're here by design. You're here because you are necessary, because you matter. You are here because you are a masterpiece in the making. The universe is conspiring for you. Make no mistake about it.
Wow. If we could accept that, and that's what you're there to do, as coaches to get there, that really accept that the universe has a plan. And you just need to say yes to it.
Absolutely.
I have to thank you for taking the time. I know that there's a lot of things you could be doing to get your business going and everything like that. I will, of course, continue to watch with a lot of enthusiasm, so I hope you do a couple more books. And I'm sure the listeners will get involved and get a few things they can do about as well. Thank you so very much.
Oh, Glenn, thank you. Thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for inviting people and allowing them to connect with your audience.
Thank you for connecting with us here at Touchstone Publishers. Please join our group Essential Leadership Skills and share your leadership knowledge with us all.